Good evening. Wednesday evening yoga. The next 45 minutes to an hour, I hope to share with you some yoga practices to refresh and re-energize. Hey Ella, nice to see you online. You're the first one. Let's just wait a little while. Sun's about to set. People are ambling into the yoga studio. Evening, Anka. Welcome to yoga. Midweek Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Just going to wait another minute or so. Cool. We got some peeps. Excellent. So I'm sure most of us are having a busy time, busy week, and multitasking. And this is our time for ourselves to do less multitasking and try and become quite single-minded and single-focused about what we're doing, because it's nurturing and can feel fantastic. So the therapeutic benefits of what we're doing are big motivators. Stretching our spine. It somehow gets us back to it burns off what's holding us back, kind of physically and emotionally, and allows us to feel our true self. So it has a kind of a alchemic way of working. Whether you're feeling lethargic or whether you're feeling anxious, it kind of practicing together these motions and this breathing and this quest for stillness with fiery action can bring about wonderful benefits. So let's get going. I think we should start off on our backs, why don't we? So lying on our back. Come up to the top of your mat, lying on your back. Hopefully you can hear me. My knees are bent, my feet are flat. Knees are hip width apart. Fingers are spread, arms are straight, and lower your arms to the ground above your head. Really give a big old stretch through your shoulders. Get your fingertips as far up above your head as possible. Lengthen the back of your neck. Start breathing into your belly button. Putting your belly button down towards the mat. As you breathe in, long exhale through the nose, mouth closed, the whole practice. Breathing through the nose. Next, inhale, using the strength of your legs, lift your hips up so that they're between your shoulders and your knees in terms of height. Imagine your knees are pressing away from your shoulders. You're lengthening the top front of your body. Getting some space in the front of your hips as you breathe deeply into your belly button. With the right leg, lift your hips. Hips are between your knees and your shoulders. That lifted leg is pressing the ceiling upwards with the sole of your foot. Bend the top leg, feet down on the mat, and then lower your hips to the ground. Straighten the right leg, sole of the foot towards the ceiling. Strength of the left leg, lift your hips up. Try and get your hips at the same height. Left and right hip is the same height. That right leg, the heel is driving towards the ceiling. Imagine lifting the ceiling a little bit. Bend the top leg, foot down next to the other one, lower your hips to the ground. Okay, left side again. Straighten your left leg, lift the hips. Arms are still above your head. Okay, keeping the hips at hip height, switch sides. Lower the left leg, right leg towards the ceiling. Lower the right leg, left leg up again. Last time, left leg up, down, right leg up. Both legs down, hips down. Okay, arms pointing towards the ceiling. Straighten your legs towards the ceiling. You're lying on your back, your feet and your arms are at the ceiling. And on the exhale, keeping your legs and your arms straight, you lower them almost to the ground, legs and arms. Inhale back up again, both are pointing towards the ceiling. Slowly on the exhale, lower them just almost touching the ground. Inhale up, keeping your legs straight, pressing to the heels as the end of the limb. Once more, down on the exhale. Inhale up. Last time, down on the exhale. Inhale up. Okay, both legs are up. You can rest your elbows on the ground. With straight arms, grab your left leg behind, your legs are straight. Both hands are clasped around my left shin, shin or calf or whatever. And then keeping the legs straight, so your toes are lifting and you're flexing into the heels. Lower that straight right leg almost to the ground, slowly, and then inhale up. And then switch sides, hold the right leg, slowly lower the left leg to the ground. Inhale up, other side. This time, when the leg gets nearly to the ground, just hold it there for a little while longer. Now this thigh, this lifted leg thigh, press the thigh away from you. It's like it's pressing towards that straight leg's foot. Pressing that thigh down. Pressing down into the straight leg heel. So pressing into the thigh makes this whole hamstring stretch a lot more inner, but that's where we need to go. Okay, leg up, switch sides. Straight leg, it's just above the ground, I'm not resting. This thigh, I'm pressing down. So that right hip, I'm pressing away from me. Both legs up, arms out to the side. Bend your knees, keep your feet together and your knees are splayed out to the side. And then roll them over to the left so that the thigh touches the ground and just stay there for 3 breaths. Neck is relaxed and centered. Your arms are out to the side, our left thigh is touching the ground, our feet are lifted. Roll back up to center on the inhale and exhale over to the other side. Holding it there for a few breaths. Next, inhale up to the center and over to the other side again. Play with the width apart of your knees. Maybe you have your knees closer together or wider apart, see what feels more interesting. Back up to the center, over to the other side. Inhale up to the center. Now move according to the breath. Exhale, roll to the one side slowly. Inhale up to the center. Exhale to the other side. Move as slowly as you can. Synchronize. Inhale up to the center. Exhale over to the side. Go slower than I'm cueing possibly. Just doing it a few times on each side. Nice mobilization of the lower back and the sacroiliac joint. Okay, stop, right ankle on your left knee. Bend that left knee. And then I reach behind this left thigh, behind the knee, and I pull it towards me. Both toes are lifting on both feet, so feet are active. It's a strange maneuver here, so right shin, ankle is on the left knee. Pulling the knee towards me, and it's a nice pull on the right hip, isn't it? That bent left knee is at 90 degrees. Okay, switch sides. Left ankle on the right knee. Right knee is bent at 90 degrees. Reach behind the right thigh, just behind the knee actually, and you pull it towards you. Left hip is thanking you, being so kind. Okay, release. Both feet are on the mat, right up at your bum. My hands are grasping my ankles. Knees are not splaying out. They're hip width apart. Using the strength of your legs, lift the hips. Tuck the shoulders underneath each other. And then really try and exaggerate, getting your hips and your belly button up. Don't let your knees splay out. Keep them close together. Tuck the shoulders deeply. Press the chest up towards your chin. Belly button lifts the ceiling. Really press press into it, and then slowly, vertebra by vertebra, come all the way down. Nice work. Okay, let's flip over. Hips to the side and roll onto your side. And check in. Excellent. Resting on our bellies. Wiggle the hips around just so that you've got some freedom. Nothing getting caught. Arms behind you. Interlace your hands behind your back. Back of your neck is long, so there's freedom in your neck. You don't have to drive the hands too far up, they're kind of parallel to the mat. You should be feeling a nice shoulder opening already. Just stay here, toes are tucked. Breathing through the nose. Maybe these moves make you feel dizzy or like quite heightened. Just see if you can hold it back out of it if it's too much. The process of acclimatizing is really useful. Arms out to the side. Chest is still lifting, it's like we're flying. Hands beneath you, rest your forehead and your hands wiggle your hips. Breathing into your belly. Okay, once more, interlace your hands behind your back. This time perhaps you can lift your chest a little higher, driving your hand a little bit further back. Bend your knees behind you. Maybe your heels can touch your hands or get them close there. And then let go of the hands and grab the ankles. And don't drive your shins too vigorously just yet, but slowly start lifting the shins. The shins are pulling the shoulders back. A little bit more vigorously this time, and then release back onto your belly. Okay, your elbows are beneath your shoulders now. Where our forearms are parallel to each other and our fingers are spread. Toes are tucked. Now lift your body up and activate it, like driving your heels back and trying to become as plank-like as possible, so you're not sagging, but you're a firm plank. From shoulders to heels, holding it here, breathing through the nose. Two more breaths. Okay, knees down. Come up onto your hands. Now check that your thighs and your arms are vertical. Perhaps you want a little bit more space between your ankles and your knees. And your hips are pulling back. We're trying to stretch our spine here, so our hip is pulling back. Shoulders are pressing towards your ears. So it makes our spine as long as possible. Now keep that action and slowly straighten the legs, driving the thighs back. Thighs are pressing into the back of the hamstrings. You can be on high tiptoes or you can have the heels down, whatever feels more interesting to you. See if you can lower the shoulder height a little bit. Lift your ribs and pull back into your hips. Like your bum bones. Imagine pressing back. Those are the ends of your spine. The top of your legs, pull that back. Now imagine there's a rope underneath your hips lifting you towards the ceiling, so you're on high tiptoes driving up, getting that apex of your hip as high as possible. Pull that high point back a little bit. Down onto your knees, back down onto your forearms, once again in forearm plank. Now here a little bit more intense, I'm coming onto the fingertips of my left arm. Right forearm is steady, I'm still in a nice firm plank. Switch sides, left forearm down, right fingertips. Both forearms are down. I pull my shoulders back and then I step a step forward. Kind of leveraging myself into this dolphin pose. Shoulders are pulling back, hips are lifting. It's like a downward dog on forearms, the dolphin pose. Keep pulling your hips back, driving your elbows down into the mat. Hips and thighs are pulling back. Knees down wide apart, toes touching, go into your fingertips, child's pose. Our elbows are off the ground. Sink your groins down between your legs. Try and get your belly button as low as possible. Activate that pelvic area, that pubic area down towards the mat. Okay, back up onto all fours. Knees up together again. Hands are shoulder width apart. Left leg straight out behind you. Activating to the end, to the heel. Don't point your toes, you activate to the heel. Opposite arm forward. Okay, so my left leg is back, my right arm is forward. Lift your ribs. Stretch more from fingertips to heel. Stretching asymmetrically through the hip structure and the shoulder structure like this is fantastic for equalizing non-symmetries in the body. Okay, back to neutral. Knees are together, toes are tucked. Right leg straight out behind you, left arm forward. Lift and lengthen. Fingers are spread vertically. Okay, back to neutral. We're going to do the other side again. Left leg straight out behind me, right arm forward. Now the straight line of leg and arm, try and keep that. Keep your shoulder height, but then tilt the whole thing forward so that front arm touches the ground. So the back leg must go up correspondingly. On a straight line, I'm just tilting forward, fingertips are touching the mat. It changes the angle and the gravity a little bit, doesn't it? Okay, back up to parallel to the mat, and then the foot touches, so the arm must go up. But on a straight line, like an arrow, like a javelin. Okay, back up to parallel to the mat. Back to neutral. Interesting. Other side. Right leg, left arm. Stretching first. Horizontal and parallel. Now I'm tilting fingertips down. Back heel goes correspondingly up. But keep your supporting shoulder height. Parallel to the mat again. Back foot drops, front arm goes up. Keeping yourself in a straight line. Back to parallel. Knees down, hands down. Shuffle back, get ready for a downward dog. So make sure your hands are spread broadly. Your thighs are sufficiently far back to give your spine a good stretch. Shoulders are pressing towards your ears. Hips are pulling back, and then straighten your legs. Synchronize the stretch back to your inhale. Get into the subtlety and time it to the breath so you can get maximum stretch like a cat back. Pressing forward on the mat with your fingers, driving back with your hip structure. Tiptoe your feet together in the center of the mat. Oops. Left leg straight up behind you. Activating to the heel. Holding it there, 2 more breaths. The standing leg, you're on high tiptoes. Top leg is up, stretching up to the heel. Okay, keeping the leg straight, lower to the mat next to the other one. Opposite. Opposite, right leg up. High tiptoes on the standing leg. One more breath. Lower the top leg. Okay, walk slowly up the center line of the mat. When you get to the top, you're standing hip width apart, using your first 2 fingers on each hand. Grab your big toe from between the big toe and the next toe. Okay, so now your knees can be bent, but if you grab your toes, what you're trying to do here is lift your shoulders. I'm going to move back a little bit. We're actually pulling up on our shoulders and pressing our shoulders forward, pulling our hips back. We're trying to flatten off this back. Lengthen the back. So to lengthen the back, my hips are pulling back, my shoulders are pressing forward. Stay there and breathe. Hips pulling back, shoulders pressing forward and lifting. So you're not sagging down as far down as you can get. You're trying to lift in this position. Okay, now you can change it slightly, slowly straightening the legs if you like. Elbows press out and forward. Now we're lengthening from hips to elbows. Keep your neck relaxed so it's not restricting your upper shoulder area. Okay, hands on your hips, bend at the hips, up you come. Cool. How are you feeling? Getting warm? I'm just going to adjust the angle a bit so we can do a couple of standing poses. How's that? There we go. Standing at the front of the mat. Front of the mat, our feet are together. We're going to do some front lunges and some standing poses. So, in the beginning, feet are together, bend the knees, arms up, chair pose, Utkatasana. Get your arms behind your ears. Keeping your knees bent, arms down on the side of the mat, next to your hands. Now step back with your left leg, big distance. The front knee is bent quite deeply, it's over the ankle, directly over the ankle, and that back foot is as far back as you can get it. Your heel is directly above your toes. So you're standing on your toes and your foot is symmetrical, it's not wobbling to the left or the right. You're driving back into the heel, lengthening forward to the top of the head. When you've had enough of that, prepare to step forward gracefully. Feet are together, step your right foot back, as far back as you can get it. And then look back, try and straighten that leg, drive the heel back. This front knee is over the ankle. Okay, step forward, and again, other side, left foot far back. This time you can drop the knee, arms out to the side. Now the hips are driving forward towards that front heel. Lift your hands, fingers are spread, so your hands are above your shoulders, and then actually raise your hands towards the ceiling. Palms are facing each other. Pressing your hips forward. Imagine that back thigh is pressing upwards. So if there was like a giant moon resting on the back of you, you'd be lifting it up with your back leg. Okay, hands down, step forward, feet are together, right foot back, big distance, knee drops down, arms out to the side, hands are above your shoulders, hips are driving towards the front heel. That back right thigh is pressing upwards, lifting the moon up. Arms up. Hands down, step forward, bend the knees, reach forward with the hands. Hands on the hips, up you come. Nice. Okay, so that was like a very much like a front axis, front lunge. Let's turn the one axis sideways. So step the left foot back big distance. That front right knee is bent and it's over the ankle. Back foot's quite far back. Front foot's bisecting the back foot. This leg is straight and this thigh is pulling back vigorously. If your hands are on your hips, imagine the hips are broadening. Your shoulders are directly above the hips. Now your arms are parallel to the mat. We're in warrior two. That leg is pressing backwards into the back of the thigh. Gaze over the front arm. Neck is relaxed. Move forward, move back. Keep the movement fluid. But there's a rigorous action here. We're driving our legs apart, stretching the mat. But there's a calmness of a mental approach, which is an opening step forward. Other side. Right foot back, big distance. Front left knee is bent. Back legs driving back vigorously. Start off with hands on your hips. Check that your shoulders are above your hips. And then arms are parallel to the mat. Fingers are spread. It's almost like we're pushing distance. Stretch. Keep things fluid. Move around a little bit. The leg structure is strong and stable. Hips are stable. Step forward. Nice. That was warrior 2. Let's do warrior 1. Now we're facing the front. Step your left foot back. But now our hips are facing the front. Back foot's not quite as far back as that last time. And it's at 45 degrees. Front foot's straight. We're starting with both legs straight. Arms out to the side. And up. Use the strength of the legs to drive into the mat, to get a little bit of extra lift into the hips, even if it's only like a millimeter or 2. Get lift in the hips. Stretch up through the shoulders. Really exaggerate it. Stretch, 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 and then bend the front knee. So it's over the ankle. That back thigh is driving back. Full warrior 1. Nice pose. Two more deep breaths. Prayer. Step forward. Nice. We're in mountain pose, feet are together, arms on the side of the body. Standing tall to the top of your head. Okay, moving deliberately. Step your right foot back. Still facing the front. Front foot bisects the back foot. Back foot's 45 degrees, arms out to the side, both legs are straight. Hips are facing the front. Stretching up. Really exaggerate it. Stretch up. Can you get more lift through the hips? By stretching the mat with your legs and feet. And bend that front knee deeply so it's over the ankle. Keep it centered, not wobbling to the side. Back thighs driving back. Prayer position. Step forward. Excellent. Feet are hip width apart. Knees are bent, arms are up. Chair pose. Now you're in a prayer, forearm prayer. So my fingers are spread broadly and there's good activation, pressing hand into hand. Forearms are a straight line, elbows are the same height as my wrists. And I lower that whole structure down onto my knees. Keep your feet parallel to each other. Lengthen the back of your neck, pulling the hips back. Right hand on the mat, left hand on your knee. Looking to the side, pulling your hips back, press vigorously down into that knee. It's a nice twist, this one. And then raise that top hand to the ceiling. Lifting up, but the bottom hand is stuck to the ground. Everything's lifting up. You're pulling back with the hips. Okay, switch sides. Left hand down, right hand on the right knee. Hips are pulling back. Looking to the side, pressing vigorously into that knee. When you're ready, raise that right hand to the ceiling. Hips are pulling back. Hands down, hands are broad, step back to plank. Knees down, you're on the tops of your feet, upward dog. Chest pressing forward, shoulders are pulling back, thighs are lifting. Press into the back of your hamstrings with your thighs. Back onto all fours, tuck your toes, shoulders pressing forward, straighten your legs, downward dog. Synchronize the stretch to the breath. Spend 5 breaths here. Exhale, bend your knees, inhale, jump forward. Bend your knees and reach forward. Hands on lips. Up we come. Getting warm, we're nearly at the apex. Just a little bit more intensity. Okay, we're right at the front of the mat. Synchronize to the inhale, bend your knees, arms up. Exhale, straighten your legs, dive forward. Inhale, you fingers are stretched, you're lifting your shoulders. Pulling the hips back, you're not moving. Hips are pulling back, toes are lifting, shoulders are pressing towards your ears. We're lengthening our back. Your knees can be bent or straight. On your next exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, jump back. Press down to a press up position. Back up, upward dog. Back onto your knees, tuck your toes, straighten your legs, downward dog. Bend your knees, inhale, jump forward. Bend your knees, reach forward. Hands on your hips, up you come. Okay, let's go sideways again. Feet are together, step your left foot back, arms are parallel to the mat. Both legs are straight. Hips stay where they are. Reach forward with the front hand. Grab that ankle, reaching up with the opposite hand. Triangle pose. Pulling up with the hand that's grabbing the ankle. It's almost like you're lifting up on that. And use that lift to pull the hips back. Both thighs are driving back. Shoulders and hand, everything stacked above. One long line. Inhale up. Step forward. Feet are together. Move deliberately to the other side. Right leg back. Front foot bisects the back. Hands on the hips. Arms out to the side, parallel to the mat. Keeping the hips where they are. Stretch forward and down. Grab the ankle. Stretching from hand to hand. Triangle pose. Inhale back up. Step forward. Okay, let's break the rhythm. Let's go upside down. So, put your mat against the wall. Find the wall. Don't need lots of width on the wall. You just need mat width. So let me just, there, I'm going to go up in that little corner and I'm kneeling, soles of my feet are on the wall, hands are spread quite broad, fingers are spread broad for good grip and balance, and when I'm ready, walk up the wall. Walk up the wall, get your feet as high as you can. Breathing through the nose. If you're getting dizzy, it's too much, come down. I don't want to stay here, half a minute. Okay, walk all the way down the wall, back down to child's pose. Give yourself a moment to recover. Okay, back up to all fours, tuck your toes so you're down dog, walk forward to your hands, and then come up through some kind of a vinyasa, back up to standing. Now we're going to do a half moon pose against the wall. So basically walk a leg distance away from the wall, come down to a forward bend, get your balance, and then lift your right leg up to the wall. I'm way too close here, so I'm going to move away so that I can make a 90 degrees. The lifted leg is parallel to the floor. Sorry, yeah, parallel to the floor. This leg's parallel to the wall. Get it to 90 degrees. And then wherever you are, top hand on your hip. And try and get symmetrical. Get your torso lifted to a height which is kind of an extension of your leg. Everything is stacked above that standing leg. This is the pose. I'm looking to the side. I can see you, but you can't see me. Top hand up. Okay, now we're going to go intensely. We're going to go to the other side. So we're going to drop the hand. The wall foot faces the floor, and then the opposite hand lifts. And then you look to that opposite side. It's full twist. It's quite a strong sciatica nerve hamstring number. Very, very nice, I think. Drive strongly down to the floor. Okay, I'm lowering that top hand. I'm lowering this leg, and I'm going straight away to the other side. My standing leg's parallel to the floor, no, to the wall. My wall leg is parallel to the floor, and the wall foot is parallel to the floor. So my feet are kind of 90 degrees to each other. when I'm ready, this top hand on the hip, try and stack that top hip above the other one. Really drive into that straining leg. Try and straighten it if you can. Top hand lifts. You feel a big opening of that top hip. Top hand down, foot faces the floor, and we're going straight away into the intense reverse side. So I'm going to put my hands into the picture so you can see what's going on. But basically, yeah, camera angle is not too good, is it? But your body angle is looking great. Okay, top hand down, foot down, sit down. And let's rotate, face the wall. A little bit of a shoulder stand, I'm rolling onto my back, and I'm wiggling my bum right up against the wall. Shuffling, using my elbows, getting my feet straight up the wall. That's quite a nice feeling, just being inverted. No activation required. Got support from the wall and the floor. How pleasant. Okay, now we're going to dig our elbows into the ground, get some grip on the wall with our feet, and then lift your hips up. Tuck your shoulders underneath each other and then support your bum, your upper chest if you like. And you can stay there with your knees bent. Press your hips away from the wall so that they're between your shoulders and your knees. Try and find some comfort in this kind of half shoulder stand supported by the wall. If it's too much, come down. If there's any pinching, come down. Otherwise, lift up into this. There's quite a compressed throat action here. Very good for the glands and the thyroid, I believe. You can hold this for a while. If you like, you can shuffle your feet together and then straighten your one leg to the ceiling. Kind of knees are aligned next to each other. You're activating up into that top heel. And I'm switching sides just to get a bit of a different feeling. And then I might put both feet back on. Support yourself. Lower your hips down to the ground. And come down. Ah, nice. Lengthen the back of your neck. Roll it from side to side. Just appreciate the movement. And then roll yourself out. And I think we're going to nearly draw to a close. But one more radical maneuver to do after that shoulder stand. There's a theory that every pose has a counter pose. Is this lighting there? That lighting is better. I'm not sure if that theory is correct because every pose also stands legitimately on its own. But in theory, the counter pose to the shoulder stand is the fish, which targets if you've got legs in your throat or if you smoke. This is really good for stretching the throat. Okay, so we're lying on our back. Come up onto our elbows. Start with feet together, knees together, I mean. I'm pressing my chest forward and I'm gently lowering my head backwards. Now we're going to try and get the top of our head onto the mat. Sounds a bit hectic, but see if you can get there. Just using a kind of a wiggling technique. Eventually lower yourself to the skull of your head. The crown of your head is on the mat. And then open your chest, shoulders are out to the side as much as possible. Already this is quite intense, it's quite a throat opener. Stay here for a while, and when you're going to the full pose, we're straightening our arms and our legs and they're kind of pointing forward at 30 degrees, activating into the heels. Both arms are straight, both legs are straight. I'm in quite an arched back and my throat is stretching and activating. Don't stay here for too long, but if it feels good, hang out, and then bend your knees, elbows down, lift your neck, lower yourself down to the ground. Intense pose. I hope you enjoyed that if you did. Now let's close it down with some breathing. So we're going to just be still, try and practice stillness. We're going to do less. Maybe you want to put on a warmer top. It's quite nice to elevate your seat because we really don't want to be slouching in this position. We don't want our lower back to be curved. We want our pelvis and lower spine to be projecting forward or vertical. We want no obstruction to our spine being able to lengthen. So if my spine is tilting forward at the bottom, the ends of the spine, the coccyx, and the two sitting bones, which kind of control that whole area, can drop down like an undercarriage, stretching out the back, allowing space into the spine and allowing the Kundalini energy to get active. I'll try and talk less. Like ripples in water, a bit of quietness and stillness. We're giving ourselves a few minutes for the water to settle. So to restrain the busy mind, it's quite nice to focus on one thing. It's very difficult, so even if you just do a few seconds at a time, focusing on our breath is a good thing because it's always with us. And it's easier if we have one nostril at a time. So, thumb, two fingers, block your right nostril, breathing into the belly button, the diaphragm pulling down vigorously on the inhale. Switch sides, blow the nostril open. Deep inhale through the same nostril. Switch on the exhale. Keep the rhythm, go for depth and length. If the breath is jerky, next time slightly smoother. Count to yourself and try and equalize the inhale and the exhale. Introduce a slight pause at the top and at the bottom. Switch hands. Make sure you're not getting too stiff. Not much longer. Lots to concentrate on. See if you can keep symmetrical. A few more rounds. Slightly quieter now. More subtle but the same depth. Let go with the hands. You can rest your hands cupping in front of you or rest your wrists on your knees. Neck is relaxed. Check that your jaw is relaxed, your eyeballs are relaxed. And just cultivate a sense of okayness. Float in a cosmic bliss. you keep your focus on your breath in a witness state. We are just witnessing. The witness is an obligation-free and relaxing place to be. Namaste. Thank you for practicing together. I hope you feel refreshed, and I wish you all the best, and hope to see you again, same time again, next week. Thanks, yogi friends. Adios.